this record as frequently as possible.
Hey everyone, it's me, Mr. G. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another collections video. Yeah, I said I was done with all my collections, filming everything that I own, but I actually technically did find another collection. So I thought, let's just make another collections video because I haven't really got anything else to film. I can't think of anything. So I thought, oh, I was looking through my Switch games and I moved it out and I found my PSP UMD movie collection. So what if you don't know what a UMD collection is, the original PSP that Sony made, not only did it play games, but it actually played movies, and it actually had a pretty decent library of movies, and you'd get these little discs, put it in the PSP and watch it on the PSP. But unfortunately the PSP was technically a failed system and nobody wanted to watch movies on a screen that was that big. It was ridiculous. But over the years, I actually found quite an amazing collection. I didn't even realize how good it was until I was sorting them out right here. So let's have a look at it, because this channel is about games now and it is about movies as well. I like both just as much. So I thought, let's do a PSP movie collection. I mean, that's pretty cool. We're doing the best of both worlds basically. So I have my collection ready. Let's have a look at it. Let's jump in. So there were some bad movies and there were some really good movies on the UMD. This is pretty good. A lot of people love it. I'm not a fan. The Sandlot 1 and 2. A lot of people love that movie. 8 Below. I mean, 8 Below is okay. National Treasure. That's okay. King Arthur. I actually kind of like King Arthur. I thought it was a pretty cool take on the King Arthur story. Dave Chappelle's Stand Up. I actually met Dave Chappelle, but that's a video for another time. Just a random time back in my old country, I ran and he came into my store. Anyway, Robots. Robots was a pretty interesting animated movie. It was one of the first animated movies that used CGI, I believe. It was okay. I actually need to rewatch this movie and see how it holds up to this day, because that was a pretty okay movie, I remember. Another classic, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Rent. I've seen Rent on Broadway in New York. I've seen Rent in LA. I've seen Rent so many times as a play. I enjoy Rent. I mean, I guess it works better as a play, obviously, but the movie wasn't too bad. Hellboy. I mean, Hellboy is an absolute classic. I don't need to say anything about that. Really cool animated movie, Heavy Metal. It's like aimed at adults, so it's got like adult animation, but by today's standards, it's actually not bad at all. But Heavy Metal is really cool. So it's got heavy metal music in it too. It's really cool. Really good comedy I enjoyed. Wedding Crashers. I really liked Wedding Crashers. Okay, let's keep that for later. Family Guy's Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story. All the Family Guys were on the UMD. Really underrated comic book movie. It doesn't get enough appreciation. Sky High. I enjoyed Sky High. I thought it was pretty cool. An average sci-fi movie with terrible CGI. Dragon Wars. That it wasn't good at all. Really classic horror movie. 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later is really cool. Really good comedy movie. Superbad. Really like Superbad. Superbad's cool. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So I'm not a fan of the Harry Potter movies. I only like 2. I like the third one, The Prisoner of Azkaban, and I like the Goblet of Fire. I think those 2 are pretty good. So I'm not a big fan, but those 2 are pretty good. One of my favorite comic book movies ever. Not enough people appreciate it. Blade. I think Blade is so good. If I had to make a top 10 comic book movies of all time, Blade would definitely be in it. Classic from, I think it was the 90s, early 90s, late 80s. Total Recall. I mean, when this movie came out, oh my god, there was so much controversy behind it. But if you watch it now, compared to today's standards, it's so tame, it's so funny. Absolute classic horror movie, Dawn of the Dead. I mean, if you've never seen Dawn of the Dead, you got to watch it. It's a classic. Casino Royale, James Bond. So I have watched every James Bond movie ever many times. I'm not a fan. I mean, I watch every movie, but I'm just not a huge fan of James Bond. I mean, the old ones, the very first ones I really enjoyed. But the other reason I'm not a fan is that For the life of me, I cannot tell you the storyline, the plot for any of these movies. I just don't remember the plots. Like, I can't tell you the plot of this one. It's just it's something about the James Bond movies that I just don't get it. I mean, I do get it. I love James Bond. As I said, I have watched every single movie so many times. As a kid, I watched them all the time. It's ridiculous. They are great. They look great. They're directed great. They are great. But I can't tell you what happened in any of the stories. So they can't be that great. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I love the books. There's about 3 in the series, I believe. I've read them many times. Really, really love the books. This movie was just okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. But I think comparing it to the book, you have a high expectation. CGI animated movie from a game, Resident Evil Degeneration. It's okay. It's just a average CGI animated movie. Absolute classic. I mean, if you've never seen this movie, talk about art and beauty and everything. House of the Flying Daggers. I mean, that movie is so amazing. It's so beautiful to watch a movie. Another amazing comic book movie, Sin City. Really love Sin City, especially the art style, cool story. Sin City is really great. One of my favorite movies of all time, but the sequel is in my top 5 movies of all time. Alien. Alien is amazing, don't get me wrong, but Aliens is in my top 5 movies of all time. I can make a whole video going on an hour about Aliens, but we don't need to get into that. Animated series from MTV, I believe, in the 90s. Aeon Flux. Very, very crazy animated style. Really, really cool. Really trippy. I should check if this is worth some money now, because I know the DVDs and the Blu-rays are. Another classic animated series from the 90s. I love the show. I think everybody does. Ren and Stimpy Volume 1. Ren and Stimpy is really, really cool. Another great horror movie, Hellraiser. I mean, Pinhead is one of the most classic villains of all time. Amazing. Technically, there's 2, but it's actually the first one and the remake of the first one. Evil Dead 2. I mean, I don't need to say anything about these movies. I think everybody needs to watch these now. They're such classics. You're taking a classic movie and you make it even more classic. I think it's like the first time ever that's happened. I have never watched this. Everybody says it's really good. I really need to watch it one day. It's a classic from the 80s. I own it on like DVD, Blu-ray, and UMD. I don't know why I've never watched it. Time Bandits. I really need to watch Time Bandits. A lot of people say that Time Bandits is great. And then the UMD collection actually had a really great anime collection. I love anime. Some of my favorite movies of all time are in anime. So they actually had a pretty decent collection. A pretty decent library. I didn't even know what I had in my collection until I pulled this out. I was like, oh wow, these movies are amazing, and it's on UMD. It's crazy. So really, I don't really remember much of the story, but I remember the animation was amazing. Metropolis. Metropolis is a really cool anime, I think. I can't remember it. Absolute classic movie. Everybody knows it. It's Cowboy Bebop, the movie. I mean, that's such a classic. Think about, actually, now think about it, The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian was inspired by some of this. I mean, you could argue that it was. Think about it. Now that I think about it, The Mandalorian. And then, a very, very underrated anime. It's made by the director of Akira. Akira is arguably my favorite anime of all time. Steam Boy. Steam Boy is really, really cool. It's like a steampunk story. Amazing animation. Very underappreciated movie. Really, really cool. And then come to my 2 favorite animes of all time. My 2 favorite movies of all time. These movies are definitely in my top 20 movies of all time. I watched these movies so many times, it's ridiculous. One of them I watch every single year for the last 25 years. I guarantee you, maybe sometimes 2 times a year. And that is Ghost in the Shell and Perfect Blue. I mean, these 2 movies are, without a doubt, in my top 20 movies of all time. Ghost in the Shell, I probably watched 30, maybe 40 times now. I actually just bought the 4K recently, the Steelbook. I watched it again. It blew my mind again. I've been watching it since it came out in 1995. I remember importing a VHS to my country, and I paid like $200, and I got together with all my friends in 1995. We had the VHS tape of this imported movie from Japan, and we all went over to my friend's house, and we were on a little freaking tiny TV like this big, about 12 of us watching it, lights off, and Ghost in the Shell blew everybody's minds back then, and it still holds up to this day 25 years later. It is such an incredible movie. It's so incredible that I'll go watch it now. I'll turn this video off right now and I'll go watch it again. No questions asked. And then Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is you know how many times I watched Perfect Blue as well? It's ridiculous. I recently got this on Blu-ray again, and I watched it with my wife for the very first time. I think it's her first anime she's ever watched, besides Studio Ghibli, and she watched it. And it's a very heavy movie. It's very disturbing. It's like a Hitchcock thriller, but like way more disturbing. It's such a brilliant movie. It's not like other animes where everybody says it's like science fiction and mechs and all that. It's an Alfred Hitchcock disturbing thriller, and it's such a brilliant movie. I swear I've seen this movie so many times and I love it every time. I remember I watched this movie twice in one day. I think when the special edition came out, I watched it in the morning, and my friend came over and I watched it again at night. I swear I've seen these two movies probably about 30 or 40 times each, and every time I watch it I still get blown away. Arguably some of my favorite movies of all time. No questions asked about it. Ghost in the Shell. Oh my god! Ghost in the Shell is so good. It's ridiculous. I'll go watch it now. I promise you, I'll turn this video off and I'll go watch Ghost in the Shell again. And we have The Family Guy Volume 1 and 2. It's like a box set. I mean, the UMD had a box set. And then, just like every collection I have sealed games, and that includes the UMD. Because honestly, all these were yard sales, thrift store, garage sales. These are all mainly like $1 each. So I even found sealed games. It's UMD. Are We There Yet? Christmas with the Cranks, and Step Brothers. Step Brothers is probably the best movie of the lot. So I actually have sealed UMDs as well. It's crazy. So that was my collection. It wasn't movies and it wasn't games. It was both because it's from the PSP. Pretty cool collection, I'm not gonna lie. And there are so many more UMD movies out there. It's ridiculous. The library is crazy. You'll be surprised how many movies came out on the PSP. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, that was my collection. I hope everybody enjoyed watching the video. I hope everybody's happy to see another collections video because honestly, I didn't know what I was going to film. I didn't even know if I was going to film again. So it's pretty cool to have my collection on my UMDs, and everybody got to see collection number 25. Okay, so anyway, give my video a like, subscribe. I'm Mr. G. I'm out.